We're giving thanks to God for allowing us to be here. So be it.
Very good.
All right, now screen share. All right. Don't need that top part. All right, so let us set out. I will rise and return to my father. That's in Luke 15:18. When the prodigal son decided to return to his father's arms, he actually decided to rise inwardly. And so to rise inwardly means he went within his mind, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Within his being. Mhm.
Within his being.
Mhm.
To leave the dark cave of idleness and head for the field of regenerative action. To get up off the cold ground of inertia and seek the heat of reconstructive activity. So how I'm reading this is that he was not idle or didn't want to be idled or refused to be idled. And he also left the darkness, like the thoughts, I'm assuming,
Mhm.
and any negative thoughts and communication, when you think?
Yes. Do you know the story of the prodigal son?
I don't know. No, I don't.
Okay. Well, the prodigal son is I think he was the son of a king, and he left the household and the father and his responsibilities and went out into the world to seek his fortune and to seek his life. And then through all the seeking and all the things that he did, he ended up coming back home, and the father embraced him with open arms. Because the prodigal son had returned. It's a proverb. Let's see. So and the father, I think one of the brothers was quite upset because the father just allowed the son to come back into favor without having to prove himself. But the father was just so happy that the son had returned and had left his ways of seeking pleasure, that he was embraced and brought back into the fold. That's my understanding of it.
Oh,
I can-
yeah. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so it was, yeah, he was a bit jealous and upset that how the father
right,
greeted his brother.
right.
Yeah, he was very angry. Yeah, yeah, because he had threw a party or sacrificed one of the fattest, I don't know, lambs or
Cows, yes, one of the fattest cows. Yeah, it's a reference to where a son asks for his inheritance in advance and then he squanders it and is forced to return home. So that was probably why the brother was really pissed too, because the father gave him his inheritance and then allowed him to come back. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So this is referring to, let's say, like the brother, and he's stuck in his dark thinking about the relationship between the father and his brother.
Right.
Yeah, so this is perfect in terms of what's going on between them two.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, to leave the valley of indecision and climb the mountain of spirituality, constructive toil. What is that?
Well, they're referring back to the son when he decided, after he squandered all his money, he went back home. He decided to leave, to leave and go back to the constructive soil of the spiritually active life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big deal.
It is.
To escape the darkness and enter to the light. So that's referring to the brothers, the son, who
Yes.
decided to leave all of that alone, that darkness alone and come back.
Right.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he repented, I guess,
Mhm.
you know?
Hmm.
Yes, it is a nice story.
It is a nice son, yes.
Yes, that is our life. That is all what we do is for that, that we leave the darkness and come to the light,
Yes,
and we leave the negative to come to the positive. We need we want to make a home of love and hope. That is all
Mhm.
I think about that. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I can understand like this. That is our life, and that is talking to us that
Mhm.
we should try to come to the light, to find the
yes,
right way, and that is the truth that we are looking for.
Mhm. Mhm.
I agree. The
Wow.
world of materialism can only give you so much, yes?
True, true. This is very true. But you know, and to be honest, you know, it takes a lot of courage and fortitude to actually get up and do something, to make something of yourself. And it also takes energy and whatever you call it, motivation to even turn yourself around like this guy did. He didn't know how he was going to be received when he got home.
No,
He had no idea. But you know, as anybody, I don't care if it's a lost relative, if you hadn't seen them in a long time, you could assume they're dead. And then to see them, and especially if it's someone you like, yeah, you're happy to see them. Who cares about what they did? Yeah,
and no judgment, no judgment. The father was unconditional love and was glad that the son returned, I believe.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I remember that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The brother was pissy, but wasn't happy, but yeah.
Yeah, so he stood up and left for the paternal home. That's what they're talking about. However, prodigal sons and daughters of life, such as we are, how many of us, after having failed at the most valuable opportunities, clamor for the Lord to help us in accordance with our unworthy desires so that we can be content and happy? How many of us have willingly descended into the abyss and once in it, drowning in the dark current of our passions, beg for the presence of the Almighty through his messengers so that they may attend to our whims? So it sounds like he's saying that while we were down, we still wanted passions and we were asking for their blessings for passions. Is that what they're saying?
Well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when people are at the racetrack and they're betting on the horse, and if they win, they think God loves them, and if the horse loses, they're all in despair.
Or they
So
think they're being punished?
yes, yes, and the point being, ask God for areas of God, and the materialistic desires or passions that we are for, or that we think we want, may not bring happiness till you get dashed down and ask for help. But the point being, help is there if you ask from the pureness of your heart, but not necessarily for your passions.
Right, right. And the idea is to ask for something from your heart in terms of like repentance or change
Right, right, right.
to uplift your soul. I get it, yeah. But if we're really committed to our self-improvement, let us stand on our own 2 feet and press forward. Any improvement requires effort. And so that's true, whether it's education, whether it's, you know, I was watching this beautiful movie about, it's called The Music Silence or Silent Music.
Hmm.
It's beautiful. I think you would enjoy it. It's about an opera singer, but based on a true story.
Uh-huh.
And so he was young and he could sing, and he was going blind at an early age.
Oh,
And then he, as he grew up, he still couldn't see, but anyway, he had to, what happened was, I think he was around 11 or 12 or something, and his voice changed. And it threw him off. He couldn't figure out what was going on, even though they told him at some point his voice would change, because men's voice change. All of our voices change as we grow.
right.
And he couldn't accept it. So he no longer wanted to be an opera singer. So he wanted to go to law school. And the teacher in front of everybody says, well, how can you read the books? Or how can you learn if you can't keep up or follow or read,
Oh,
And
being
so,
blind. Oh,
yeah,
dear.
it was really pretty tough.
Right.
And so he says, so he ended up quitting school, and he went back to playing in a bar, and anyway, somebody saves him and tells him there's this opera coach who could help him. And so he said, okay, he would go to the opera coach, and it did. It took, but he had to keep fighting to recover his voice. He had to fight to be heard or to be accepted by crowds, and to get a position,
Yes.
And he said, and they showed where he kept getting these disappointment after disappointment, but that's life. We always get disappointed. And no matter how much we struggle for something, if you want it, you still got to keep moving. You got to keep moving forward and fighting for it, because we'll be turned upside on our head,
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. It seems like the major failure is giving up.
True.
That's when you fail, not by if you get knocked down, but do you get back up? Do you keep trying? Do you keep working? Yeah, disappointment is a real tough one for me. I guess, yeah, I guess a lot of us,
Right, and this is the time, I think, where we have to do the most fighting about the shadows.
Yes,
Those negative thoughts, that dark side that hits us, that depression, where we don't want to talk to nobody, we want to stay hidden and isolate. That's the time, that is really the toughest, that to break out of, and to continue trying to meditate and doing something of service and action to keep a balance. That's very, very important. I mean, I keep pushing myself to stay afloat, so that I don't hit that real dark space anymore. But still, sometimes it happens. I still got to keep going. You know what I mean? No
yes.
matter what, we still have to keep going. And a beautiful story the other day was about a young lady who was playing in the Super Bowl. She was sign languaging the song of Rihanna.
It was brilliant. It was fabulous. She was, yes, she was deaf. Yes.
And her story was, I had to educate myself no matter what. She said she had vocals, she could talk. And
Right.
she said, yes, I can talk. She said, but every deaf person who speaks had to go to school to learn. She says
Yes.
some people can speak very well, but because they don't go to school, they can't use their box. So, and she said, it's a lot of work. It's a lot, but you have to keep going. And she's quick and fast with it too, with her hands and her voice at the same time.
Yeah,
She was brilliant.
she was, and she could feel the beat. She could feel the beat. And so she was right on. It was wonderful. She was wonderful.
You saw it, huh?
I did. Oh, I did. I watched the Super Bowl and I watched Rihanna. It was fabulous. It was great. Really good.
Yeah, those shadows, you know, you have to be careful because they can invade even in the thoughts, your daydreams, you know,
Yeah,
and you have to catch those daydreams and cut them off.
yeah,
And they get you at the most opportune time. Sometimes it could just be sitting, I don't know, you might be sipping on a cup of coffee and here it comes. You can sit on the toilet, here it comes. You know, taking
True.
out the garbage, here it comes. You gotta cut it off each and every time that it does happen. Those shadows, you know, because and that's when we continuously do that, we're elevating and cleaning out and taking out the garbage. Basically, that's what it is. You're purging that negativity out of there.
I'm really happy to hear you say that because I think it is a constant, I think it is a constant effort. I agree with you because I can go down the rabbit hole fast, you know,
Yeah,
you know, and the idea, I mean, truly that to me is the devil. Negativity is the, you know, the
yeah.
shadow. It really is nothing
Yeah.
good. Nothing good comes of it, you know.
Well,
So
you know, there's a couple of ways of looking at it. You know, a lot of people would like to blame it all on the another being outside of themselves.
right,
But this is some of the stuff that we've gotten programmed with from family, from friends, from being in
Mhm.
school, high school, college, watching a movie, anything that has educated our mind to perceive a certain way. These are the
Right,
things we are correcting.
correct.
And it does take a lot of time and a lot of energy.
And I agree, it is not what outside of us, it is within us. I totally agree
Absolutely.
with it. Absolutely. There's no one to blame. It's where do we put our energy and what are we feeding?
And the most important
Yeah.
part, I think, is also forgiveness.
Yes,
We must forgive ourselves for not being the perfect whatever,
yes,
you know, because we're learning as we make these mistakes, as we fall, as someone else makes mistakes with us, to us, for us, or whatever. It happens, you know, and we let someone in and they destroy something you built, so you got to start all over again.
right.
Another lesson, another
Yep,
lesson, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's never ending. And like they're saying, any improvement requires effort, any improvement. If you'd have heard that young lady speaking about the work it takes to using these vocal cords, you would have been impressed. I mean,
yeah.
just by her sheer devotion to it, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm like, who are we not to be devoted to trying to make the best out of life, the best of change, the best of who we can be at all times, you know, just
Right,
continue owning that. Well, that's the best I got, you know?
yes.
Yeah,
To stay with love in life, you know,
absolutely,
stick with it.
absolutely.
Mm.
The view at the top requires climbing the mountain first. That makes sense.
Yes.
I mean, that makes hella sense.
It certainly does. Yep,
If we aspire to a higher life, let us go forward following Jesus's standards. I will rise, said the young man in the parable. Yes, let us rise.
right. Beautiful.
Wow, what a nice story. Thanks,
Yeah.
Valerie, because I
Oh,
totally forgot about the prodigal son and
yeah.
what that story was.
You know, and it reminds me of Maya Angelou. And yet I will rise. I will rise. No matter what is done to me, I will rise. As a people, you can't let inertia or negativity pull you down. Stand back up. Keep your love coming forward.
Yeah, she has another beautiful poem that has something to do with how I see you, I see me or something. I wish I
Yeah,
could.
Yeah, she wrote a book called I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I guess she had a horrific experience as a young woman where she was raped and then did not speak. I think something happened, but it's like the whole thing is that if you know better, you do better, and that you know, her poetry is incredible. I mean, just what a person, what an amazing woman. So I'm not sure the one you're speaking of particularly, but yeah, she's something.
She was amazing. She,
Yeah.
you know, thank you for reminding me of her, because she was a good example of trying to help people understand language, understand who we are all people, understand that we are in this together, that we are
Yes.
all one. She was trying to bring that out in her poems, you know.
Yes, yes. The humanity and the desire for growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also forgiveness was huge.
Mhm. You know, forgiveness is always huge, you
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
pressing on, you know, and it's very important. There's these actions, you know, when you press forward. And to make it whole, there's the action of work. We have to listen. We have to meditate on what it is we don't understand. We have to study. You know, all of those things go together. Maybe not in that order, but still, we have to do it all in order to elevate, in order to grow. We have to do it all. You have to, because what's the point of reading everything and never putting it into action? It doesn't mean that you got it. You have to show that you have it. You have to show that you are putting into action what you're learning, because that's what they want us to do.
Yeah. Demonstrate.
Demonstrate what we're learning. You're right.
Here's a quote from Maya. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Simple, brilliant, you know.
Yes, Miss Gina is right. And here, I see that here, but if we are really committed to our self-improvement, that is, let us stand on our 2 feet and press forward. It means, for me, it means that we should start with ourselves. Nobody can in this field help us when we are not ready to go forward. Nobody can push us. We should understand that we need it, like a food. When we are hungry, we need food, and we try to get it anywhere to go.
Very true. Very
And
true.
that is improvement. It requires effort. We should, like when we need something, we need food, we need water, we make effort to get it, try to get it. And that is very important, that we start with ourselves and we don't get tired, or we are not going back. We don't give up. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Thanks, Mohsen. Yeah. You know, living here on this planet is it's not easy. It's not easy for everybody. But the key to me is here. I mean, you may not find it in your religious churches or anything like that, but I do believe that the key is here, you know, and if people don't find it in their church, then they should look outside of the church in different spiritual books, I would say. They call them, self-improvement books. But, you know, that's a good start. You know, you have to find and talk to people and find out what other things are they doing. Don't have to leave your religion, but you want to add to where you are to improve yourself. Because when I say that because when my family were very religious and they had a church, but I couldn't understand none of it. Really, I couldn't understand it. I couldn't get it. You know, you preach one thing, you do another thing. It wasn't cohesive to me. It just didn't make sense. The spiritual side of it all, you know, because spirituality is invisible, really. You know, the beings, the angels, as they say, the energy part of it, you know, because we can all feel energy. If you can feel the sun, you can feel energy. And so that part was, all of that was missing. And then there's the loving yourself and the forgiveness. They couldn't explain it the
Right.
way we get it from these other books.
Yeah, the process of forgiveness is a good thing to study and work with, because it isn't really taught. You don't really know how. You're just told you should. You have to, but it is a process and of self. I was just reading something that said forgiveness is not something that can make uncomfortable things vanish as if by magic, but it can transform the victim and the executioner by giving them the chance to be reconciled through mutual compassionate awareness, and eventually reach an understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. To regret having done something is to become aware of something we were unaware of before. No one can go through life without being the cause of other people's pain. This is an element of cosmic learning that is an important part of life. And a law of karma without forgiveness is like the Old Testament, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth way of thinking. It is valid until the moment when the shell around the heart is pierced, then a completely new reality is introduced. If we aren't prepared to hear, we must be made to feel. So, yeah.
And
Sometimes
you
your heart's
know,
got to be broken in order to forgive.
and that's where, unfortunately, but sometimes that's where suffering comes in.
Yes.
Suffering is an education.
Mm-hmm.
And suffering oftentimes is what will create compassion in another human being.
Yes.
You know, so it's all necessary, that, you know, as they say, necessary evils, but it's all necessary to happen. And if we're going to live here and grow and not come back and stay stuck in the same, because, you know, there ain't no fun in that either, you know?
No, boring.
Yeah. You know, it's a lot of work to stay in the same place. You know,
Yes.
you can did all of this to stand still. No.
No, no.
No. Well, guys, we did it. So if there's nothing else, we can do our closing prayer.
Okay. I'm
Valerie,
good.
you want to have it?
Oh, okay. All right. Dearest Heavenly Source, you who are everywhere, blessed be your holy vibration. Kindle in us the fire of your love, here and now and forevermore. Open our hearts to the power of compassion and free us from the fetters with which we bind ourselves and each other. Let us oust of temptation. Let us repose in the higher self so we can be nearer to you, dear God. Forgive us and let us forgive until our actions are one with your holy moment. With a grateful heart that we've come together to hear the words of the Bible and of the different lessons that we all here are walking on planet Earth. Thank you for your forgiveness and love and teaching and kindness and the opportunity of communion with like-minded beings. With love and appreciation, we close our meeting this evening. Amen.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mosen.
Thank you.